Voters in the 1st Congressional District have an unusual election year. They may be voting as many as 4 times for their representative. This is the current 1st District. It was represented by Republican Doug LaMalfa for 13 years until his death in January. The special election for his successor is on the same date as the primary, which is June 2nd. If no candidate wins over 50% of the vote, there will be a special runoff election August 4th. The winner will serve the remainder of LaMalfa's term through early next January. This is the new 1st District. This was approved by voters under Prop 50. The top 2 candidates from the June primary will advance to the general election in November, and that winner will serve the next 2-year term that starts in January. Some of the bigger issues in the district are affordability and access to health care in rural areas. Tonight we have a look at where the leading candidates stand on those issues. Here are the leading candidates in the race to represent the 1st Congressional District. Audrey Denny is a Democrat with deep experience in nonprofit work, especially with food banks, and she teaches communications at Chico State. James Gallagher is a Republican state assembly member and a lawyer. He served as the Assembly Minority Leader for 3 years. And Democrat Mike McGuire is a state senator who served as Majority Leader for 2 years and State Senate President Pro Tem for 1 year. We started with the issue of affordability and housing.
We need to build more housing faster. That's where we need to focus. At the federal level, here's where I'd focus. Number 1, we need to immediately eliminate the Trump tariff taxes. The Trump tariff taxes has made the cost of living for all of us go up by $2,400 per the American family. Some specific examples: lumber, steel, building materials up 15%. Cars are up 15%. Here's where I think we need to focus. We need to advance and expand the low-income first-time homebuyer tax credit at the federal level.
Well, I've been a champion on the housing front since I've been in the legislature. When I first, came into the state assembly, I was a co-author of a bill that would streamline CEQA for housing. That bill failed in committee. Now, 10 years later, I've been part of a bipartisan coalition that helps streamline CEQA to build more housing. Work with Assemblymember Buffy Wicks, for example, on that issue. So there's been some really good bipartisan work on housing, but there's a lot more that we can do. I think the next thing we need to do is cut the permitting costs and the local fees that are often charged that make that housing so expensive. So that's the next thing we need to do, but we have actually made some really good progress here in the last, I would say, 4 years in the legislature to lowering that housing cost.
We're seeing investment groups purchase up the homes that should be available for first-time home buyers, and then we're seeing them increase rents, make them vacation homes, and really the housing stock is plummeting because they're being bought up by so many investors. So some of the solutions that we can actually enact are making sure that we really fully fund our USDA rural development housing programs, making sure that we try to cut red tape and better align our federal, our state, and our local policies, and making a sustained investment at the federal level to build and preserve and repair affordable housing units, especially in our rural areas or our high cost and disaster prone areas like so much of California's 1st District is.
All of the candidates in the 1st District talk about really responding to the needs in rural communities. Let's focus in on health care, because as hospitals are closing, as clinics are closing, some people in the 1st District have to drive a long way to see a doctor.
Absolutely. And I'm the only candidate in this race that has a real record on rural health care. I helped save Glenn Medical Center and Colusa Medical Center when they were going to close down in 2015, 2016. We worked with people in the private sector and in government to find solutions to keep them open. Doug LaMalfa, who I'm looking to replace, he was a great representative. He fought very hard for rural health care. He got $50 billion set aside in H.R. 1 for rural health care needs. We need to make sure we get that money and get it to our local hospitals and clinics so that we can have that. I disagree with the cuts to Medi-Cal. I would not have supported that.
For me, the only kind of long-term system-level solution for our rural healthcare crisis is a single-payer nonprofit healthcare system. because right now what is wrong with rural healthcare, the problem in rural healthcare, is that there is not the volume of care to sustain a profit-driven model. But in the meantime, there are so many things that we can do to be able to protect our rural hospitals. One of them is reversing the $100 billion of cuts that happened in the One Big Beautiful Bill, right? We need to be investing in our medically underserved areas by recruiting and making it easier for people to go to school to get professional degrees instead of like what we watched the Trump administration continue to push out this week, which is capping student loans for some healthcare workers, and then just protecting and expanding our network of federally qualified healthcare providers.
I'm going to be super blunt about this. We're going to see rural hospitals in California close by mid-2027 because of the actions by Donald Trump and congressional Republicans. And this is not hyperbole. I'm not trying to be partisan. I'm just speaking fact. We need to double the number of rural residency programs to be able to get doctors into rural California. If a doctor does their training, rural residency, in a rural community, they're 60% more likely to stay in that community to practice medicine. That's where we need to go, and we have to pass Medicare for all. Healthcare, guaranteed healthcare for every American.
As you know, Americans are just so sick of the gridlock on Capitol Hill. What in your background makes you uniquely qualified to reach across the aisle to get stuff done?
And the core of my belief system is that we're all inherently equal in worth and rights and dignity, and that all of our perspectives come from our lived experiences, which makes them valid. That said, I'm ready to work with anyone that represents rural communities to get stuff done for the people who live in my communities.
My belief is this. The highest calling in life is to help people. I'm passionate about that. And I firmly believe that there's more that unites us than divides us in the North State and throughout Northern California. And no matter if you are a Republican in Yuba or a Democrat in Chico, I think that there's more that unites us than divides us.
I've been a Republican in this state legislature. But even being in the minority, I've always been able to connect with people, even people with different backgrounds, different views, and I've been able to get things done. I mean, I've passed over 60 different bills, pieces of legislation that I got through a Democratic supermajority legislature and signed by Democratic governors, right? What I pose it, what I would say to the voters is, imagine what I can do if I'm in the majority.
I want to point out that we did offer every candidate the opportunity to appear either in our studio or on Zoom. The interviews you saw were their choices. We aim to create a level playing field. Also on the ballot for the 1st Congressional District, Democrat Janice Carmen is a retired wine broker. The other two are registered as no party preference. Timothy Sean Kelly, a housing attorney and educator, and Richard T. Minner is a software architect.